So Patrick, do we describe this for everybody, Rob?
What?
You describe it. You describe it.
What?
I do enough talking.
Whatever. What?
I think any car's dead in iRacing. I think it's gone.
Oh, it's definitely. I agree. It's not going to survive much, but I still think we'll find opportunities to race it, just not as fruitful as before. Some of your, like, some of them just want to like make. What's the thing? Like that guy wanted to make like dolls out of Tyler's hair, but then there's just other guys who are just like. He did. He would say weird things to Tyler, man. Like he was a strange guy. And then like other guys would just show up and nowhere. He's like, "Oh, we never met you? Sure, come race this 24 with us." And then you just jump in the car and wreck us out in a lap and be like, "Okay, never see you again."
Yeah, that
like,
was
okay. Well, better luck next year, I guess.
That was the guy from.
The Palace of Speed. The chaos early on in this race. Hello and welcome to the Spec-5 World Tour from the land of the rising sun and probably its most famous road course, the Tsukuba International Circuit. And judging off of the current track map you're seeing in front of you, I can assume you are probably very confused. We are not running on the iconic layout that you will see in most of iRacing and a lot of the Gran Turismo games. We're running on the 1000 full layout. This is picked by Jordy Fike, as you can see in the Race 7 thing up there, and I believe some of us at SMB as well. Adam is dying over here in the production booth, probably just looking at the track map, because this is going to be probably the most interesting Spec 5 race this season. My name is Alex Andersen. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Randall McGrew with Adam Thompson in our virtual production truck in Randall. I think we have a little bit of a treat in store for us tonight.
Oh, it's going to be a wild one. Survival is going to be the name of the game tonight. Qualifying position almost doesn't matter. You got to survive the mayhem because it's going to be crazy from flag to flag.
Yeah, I think this is the shortest track that we've ever been at in this series. I would not be surprised if it is. Only just over 0.6 of a mile long. For those of you non-dumb Americans, actually, okay, I was gonna hope they would show me how long that is in kilometers, but
It's
I'm
1
pretty
kilometer.
sure. Oh, thank you, Randall. I'm smart. It is exactly 1 kilometer. That's why you guys use that system. That's why you guys use that system and not miles. But this is exactly 1 kilometer long. So it's a pretty interesting track. I'll give it that.
And we're on board here with Mike Damas. He's coming down this very short straightaway into turn 1. He gets up into third gear. We were watching many people in practice were sticking in second gear the whole time. Gets the car to rotate. He's really struggling with the cold tires. You see lots of oversteer. He's going to point the car in before he gets onto the brakes. You need to take as tight a line as possible through that third corner. And then you have this fourth and fifth corner. It's like a decreasing radius. I think they actually count this as 3 corners. So you want to keep it nice and tight through all of that. Straighten out this little bend as much as you can. And as soon as you get pointed at the curb, you want to get onto the brakes, blow it down, arc it out, come back over the curb again just to get a good run off the corner and across the line. And then we're going to watch him again from top down, and it looks like one of those slot tracks you used to play with as a kid, as we see him now going through turn 2 at the bottom of your screen, getting out there on that curb, angling it in before he gets onto the brakes to run nice and tight. It looks like they come to almost a complete stop on that corner. You see the tightening radius here, so he's just going to keep it coming inside as much as possible. Let it wind out on this infield straightaway. Try to line up the entry to this right-hander over this curb. Eat a lot of the curb. According to the broadcast notes provided by the league, the best place to die tonight is anywhere on the track.
That's really fair. Adam, I get why you wanted me to show this camera angle. This looks like one of those crappy mobile games I would play on in like 2014 with that nice top-down view, not able to tell where I was turning. That's exactly what this looks like. It looks like Hot Wheels cars down there. They're so small and they look like they're going so incredibly slow. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they don't get out of third gear here, but back to the seriousness. Mitchell Peak just took provisional pole with a 38.9. Ronnie Coates only about 600ths behind him. Ryan Zabelski up to 6th. As it's going to be a pretty short qualifying here. I don't think we needed the full 15 minutes. We might have only needed probably 10 minutes, maybe even 5 if the drivers are fast with their laps. And besides this being, if I'm not mistaken, the shortest track we've ever raced on in this series, it is also going to be just probably one of the most wreck-filled and hilarious races that we have ever covered on the Slow Motion Broadcasting channel. I had to cover up using that because I was going to say something else. I completely forgot what it was. Randall, take it away before I ruin it even more.
Yeah, so as the sponsors, Slow Motion Broadcasting got to pick a track, and I had determined that we needed to make sure that the leaders had to deal with some lap traffic for a change, and I suggested Okayama Short. The league admins decided that was not painful enough, so here we are at Tsukuba 1000, and it's gonna be interesting. If you end up off track anywhere, especially on the infield section, it's likely you're going to end up on the wrong section of the track with possibly some sort of penalty and other cars all around. I expect that very early on in this race, we'll see the track map completely covered. It'll be traffic the whole time. It'll be a game of survival. Those tires are going to be absolutely hell to drive on when they're cold, and it's going to take 5 or 6 laps to get warm. So there's not going to be a single moment of respite. You may have some clear windshield if you qualify up front early on, but you're going to be wrestling with those tires so much that you're just going to be sitting on the edge of your seat hoping not to crash. Right now, ambient temperature is 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but the track temperature is hovering right around 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's some grip available, but it's still just going to take a couple laps for these tires to get heat in them. They're not really carrying that much speed through any of these corners. They're barely getting out of second gear. Some of them getting up to third gear just before they get to turn one. Other than that, it's just first and second gear. And we're seeing drivers are already have completed their 4 qualifying laps, and we still have just under 10 minutes left to go in qualifying. So see, Sean Ruiz getting a little bit too much of that curb and getting a little squirrely. Hartley here coming across the line is not able to improve. Or sorry, he does improve. He goes all the way up to the top of the leaderboard with a 38.7. We saw some quicker lap times in practice, but they were able to have heat in their tires and a little bit less fuel. Speaking of fuel, they're going to need a very, very small amount of fuel to get to the end of this race. Some of them might even be able to save enough fuel to not have to pit at all. So the average usage that I was seeing was under 1/10 of a gallon per lap. They're going to need about 6 laps of fuel. So I'm seeing that the drivers are going to be pulling possibly 70 laps, but if people are pitting, it's probably closer to like 66 laps. The league has told us it's going to be about 66 laps, but based on these times, it could be closer to 70.
Yeah,
So-
oh, Alex is back. All right, I'm going to go back to my hole now. Goodbye.
So, I think this track is just so weird that my PC just disagreed and committed die. Yeah, it just completely restarted on me, just like Le Mans. I think this, Raina, remember how we had your wrong pit call? I think we're gonna have to make a new segment. When is Alex's PC going to restart during any given Spec-5 World Tour race? That I think that's something that's got to go up there because it's starting to become a routine at this point.
Yeah, and making a pit call on this track is going to be... There's no correct pit choice here. If you pit, you're going to have enough fuel, but if it almost seems like if you pit, somebody else is going to not pit and take the win from you.
Okay, so we're gonna get a little bit of a pre-race interview with Andrew Kosick. Andrew, for the shortest track I believe we've ever run in this series, and probably the most amount of laps we are ever going to have run in this series. How are you looking forward to this race?
Well, it's going to be interesting. That's all I can say. I'm looking forward to it. I dreaded this track when I first hopped onto it, but there's a rhythm to it, and it requires a lot of patience and precision. So it'll be a test for all of us. Hopefully it'll pay out.
Yeah, 66 laps, and I know, or 66 estimated laps, and I know that sounds like a lot when pretty much everybody says it. How are you going to look to tackle that tonight?
Just try to focus on the corners and what's ahead of you. That's the main thing. My crew chief is shouting in my ear every 5 seconds during practice. Caution this way, car off on the left or whatever. So try to avoid, watching other people's incidents and focus on what's in front of me. And one corner at a time.
Yeah, and so with that, and speaking of those yellows, I mean, there's probably going to be quite a few cars that end up making mistakes that go off, and especially with no walls at all on this track, there could be cars that are going into turn 5, miss the corner, and end up in turn 1 just as you're going through it. How are you going to try and handle that?
Just got to keep the corner of your eye open. The other surprise is pit out, because it's such a
Definitely.
short pit lane. So you have to pay attention for that. And all you can do is kind of keep an eye out for those things and take evasive action if necessary. There's going to be a chance element to this race. And, just hopefully, for everybody's going to hope to be on the right side of that chance.
Yeah, and just like super speedway racing in the American side of things, a lot of this is going to be based on luck. And Andrew Kosick, we were about to go through points when you leave us from the booth, but if I'm not mistaken, you are the open class points leader. How are you going to try and defend your points lead in this race and the rest of the races in the calendar?
Well, I qualified P2 today, so I really think that attrition is going to be a factor in this race. So how I'm going to try to defend is stay up front and just not make mistakes. I think more important than anything is avoid slowdowns, avoid off tracks, and then just execute on the pit stops and go from there. I certainly put enough time into preparing for this event, so I'm as ready as I can get. When you look at the points, though, you have to look at we haven't done any drop weeks yet, and Ken and I think Jose are in third and fourth, and they missed 1 week. But if we drop one out of mine, they're ahead of me. So I've got the points. We're in between pit stops here, pit cycle.
Yeah, pretty much. That is a very accurate statement to your current point situation. Well, we'll let you go. Good luck tonight, my friend. We'll see how you do at the end of the race.
All right, thanks, guys. Enjoy the show.
And that was Andrew Cossack for a pre-race interview. Randall, I believe you're on standby with Otis Adams Jr. just before the race starts.
Otis, tell me what your plan is for tonight. How are you going to survive this carnage?
That's pretty much my plan. Try not to die. Like, you finish where you finish. You just gotta try to avoid the big one.
So are you expecting many tempers to flare out there? I know we have some people that are pretty aggressive. We have some young guys out there. Are you expecting anything to boil over at this track with the tight confines?
I'm hoping it's one of the. Sometimes when you have tracks like this that are difficult to race on, everybody's a little more careful and actually goes clean. So I'm hoping that I did do a good job in qualifying, which was like goal number one. It's almost impossible to pass here if somebody doesn't make a mistake. So yeah, I'm just going to try to keep it clean and get to the end.
Well, keep your head on a swivel. You never know where the cars are going to be coming from as you make your way around here, and hopefully you have a good race.
Yep, thanks, guys. Yeah, you normally just have to keep your eyes enough forward down the track. Here, you got to look left and right to see if somebody's coming from a different part of the track to take you out. So, yep, definitely going to be on a swivel.
All right, good luck.
Thanks, guys.
That was Otis Adams Jr., pro class driver. He's fifth in the standings, if I am not mistaken, tonight. So we'll see what he can do as we're looking at David Staub from the top down view, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I might still need to adjust my cameras, but I believe that is where we are at. Is David Staub going to head into turn number 7? I believe that is. I want to say that's one of only 3 left-hand corners on this track. There aren't many of them. They're very hard to come by. So it looks, and part of that is the left front tire. And Ray Lombardi was nice enough to give us a little bit of insider information into what the tires are going to end up looking like. And what he gave us, it's pretty odd. All of the right front, the right rear, and the left rear, they're all at normal tire percentages after a long run, about 80-85%. And you look at the left front, and it's in the low 50s, as we have a car, David Tamir, I believe that is. He's just having a little bit of fun in the infield, but the left front was in the 50s, and that is going to beg the question, if you guys haven't already mentioned it. Will these drivers even need to take fuel? Because it's been said that they might not. And if they don't need to take fuel, will they come in for tires?
I suspect that if you're able to make it on fuel, you're just going to stick it out and soldier on with that busted left front tire. But if you come in for fuel, I think they'll only change the one tire. They're going to take such little fuel that I don't believe 2 tires will be free. They may just take the left front, and pray.
Yeah, for sure. It's down the front straightaway. Lee Martin is going to head. It looks like he's done with all of his qualifying laps, just trying to get a little bit of last-minute practice in there. Very smart ideas. David Staub going to head on a lap as well. Or no, it looks like that just might be he's done with his qualifying laps as well, just trying to get a little bit of last-minute practice in. Very smart idea from some of these drivers. And I honestly think, this race, just best guess from myself, because I honestly, I don't know what to expect. I don't know if any of us up here in the booth know what to expect. Hell, I don't even know if half the drivers know what to expect heading into this race. But I believe that it's going to be more of a war of attrition and trying to survive and be there at the end of the race rather than having outright pace. Because outright pace is most certainly going to be important, but in my opinion, not as important as surviving the race, as Robert Hartley takes the pole over Mike Dam by 0.007 of a second. That's really close for a track like this. Ronnie Coates in third, Otis Adams Jr. in fourth, Simon Bowether in fifth, Mitchell Peak in sixth, Rudy Coimbra in seventh, Camden Hibbett in eighth, Zach Burke in ninth, David Staub in 10th, Paulo Coimbra on pole for the open class there in 11th. Andrew Kosick, the new points leader after the last round, sits alongside him. Sean Ruiz in 13th, Jose Gonzalez in 14th, Orlando Harrell in 15th, Jordy Fike in 16th, Jared DiPiero in 17th, Lee Martin in 18th, Tom Athan in 19th, Ken Copeland in 20th, Ray Lombardi in 21st, Brian Zabelski in 22nd, Greg Mack in 23rd, John Casey in 24th, Sean Hayes in 25th, Eric Schulhoff, I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, in 26th, David Tamira in 27th, Charles Vaccaro in 28th, Eugenio Polici in 29th, and Andrew Gilliland in 30th, who now is 1 point behind the current points leader in the open classes. We still have this top-down view. Great camera angle of all the cars. I know half of them are blocked out by the timing tower, but a great camera angle of all the cars. And there we go. Now we can see all of them stretching down from the start-finish line all the way to the last corner. And I just realized, Randall, that's not going to be ideal for if you're starting that far back, because you're going to be starting pretty much in the final corner.
In the final corner at best, probably more likely into that turn 7, turn 8 area. Once they're all stretched out, there's going to be a lot of accordion going on during this pace lap, so you're going to have to keep your heads up and make sure you're not running into the back of anyone as everybody suddenly woes down for some of these corners. So they're going to be a little bit more stretched out at the start when they're rolling. It's going to be a very interesting few first laps as everybody's going to be struggling with them cold tires. If you're up to the front of the grid, you're going to have some things that you can do to put some heat into those tires on this very short pace lap. But if you're back in the middle and further back in the pack, you're too busy just trying not to run over each other to do really anything to heat up those tires.
Well, as the pace truck starts to roll here from Tsukuba, it'll be a very entertaining 45 minutes of racing action. As just as the front of the field enters turn 1, the rest of the field is exiting the final corner. So it's going to be an interesting start from this very small circuit. And here we go, Eugenio Polici just now heading into turn number 1 as the rest of the field heading into turn 3. So very lopsided pace lap here as you see how much everybody has to spread out to make these corners. So we'll see what Robert Hartley chooses to do with the start of the race. Will he go early or will he go on green, try and bunch the field up or try and spread them out? We just don't know. And that's pretty much been the main question leading up to this race. We do not know. We don't know how this race is going to go at all, but hopefully it'll be a great one as the iRacing safety truck going to dive into the safety of the pit lane, and just as quickly as it goes in, the green flag is going to be out, and we are underway from Tsukuba. Robert Hartley with a pretty decent lead off the start. Ronnie Coates going to push him down into turn number 1. Already 3 wide back there as Mitchell Peak sends it in. Looks like they'll get away scot-free back there. As everybody, and against my better judgment, everybody makes it through the first couple of corners, as now Robert Hartley gets a pretty decent gap through turns 5 and 6. As the rest of the field just struggles through the first lap, everybody trying to maintain single file, just try and get through the opening laps of this race. No contact, no spins yet. Everybody keeps it together. Eugenio Polici, though, already might have wrecked. Andrew Gilliland started from the pits actually there. Eugenio heading into turn number 1 through turn number 2. Everything looks okay here. I'm not sure what happened to him.
I think he just got caught up in the log jam. Yeah, there was just a big log jam, and he had to come to a stop, and our timing screen detected a crash there. It actually wasn't a contact with him. We did see another car get around there. It was hard to pick out who that was. It looks like it may have been Charles Vaccaro.
So I'm not sure.
The number 14 car there gets heavy contact. That would be David Tamira, one of the newer drivers. We see there's some mayhem on the infield right now. It looks like Andrew Gilliland and David Tamira, and I couldn't see who else there was
It was
there, but
Orlando Harrell. As here it is once more, David Tamira into turn number 3. And cars around in front of him. That's Andrew Gilliland, and then there was another car around. So here's what happened to Andrew, is I feel like just as we back out of this replay, there's going to be another wreck for us to look at. But here's what happened to Andrew Gilliland. He's heading into turn number 3, and it looks like turns to make the corners. And actually, Paulo Coimbra missed the corner. I think that was. Andrew Gilliland just self-spins on the exit. And then just at the same time, the 521 or the 421 car of Orlando Harrell spins off at turn number 6. So already chaos all over the track, as this camera angle giving us a nice shot of where a bunch of cars are, and it's going to give us an angle of another wreck. The 133 car off at the final corner. This is John Casey. This is him heading towards turn 7. It looked like the 2 car pulled way out of the way there, as this is very entertaining, I must say. But through the final couple of corners, it looked like, we got hit from behind and sent around. He'll be able to keep going, but I don't know if he'll be able to recover in spots. And actually, there's another car off track.
That's Greg
Mack.
It's like he got it just a little bit wrong coming through that triple left-hander there on the infield and got it over into the grass. And he's taking his time to get it going again. Let's see here. Gets a little bit too much curb, unsettles the car. Tires are probably still not completely up to temperature. They probably just warm enough to feel confident on them, but not good enough to eat those curbs like that.
Yeah, it's actually, against my better judgment, I thought the field would have been spread out by a lot by now, but so far, everybody keeping a pretty decent gap. Ronnie Coates not really gaining any time to the leader, but not losing much either. Looks like a bit of blocking down the front straightaway as Mitchell Peak trying to hold off Camden Hibbett there. Camden not going to be able to make a move, and I think that's going to be the story of a lot of these drivers' lives this race, is just not able to make a move. And if we're, I will say though, if we are going that we're going to end at about lap 66, we're about an 11th of the way there, and only about 4 or 5 spins. Randall, I think we're doing pretty good so far.
So far, so good. It's all been pretty much at the back. What we really need to look out for is if something happens up front, you're going to have a lot of cars coming very quickly. Having it all happen towards the back has made things stay pretty clean. So we're on board with Camden Hibbett here. He's one of the younger drivers in the field, and they're probably the ones we're going to have to keep an eye on most as we get towards the end of the race. We've talked about how Camden has been very mature in the way that he's attacked some races and the way that he drives, but when you're younger, it's easy to lose your temper very early or very easily, especially if things keep going wrong. And this is one of those tracks where things can go wrong early and often.
Yeah, definitely. And especially with how close quarters this track is, passing is probably going to be completely out of the question for a lot of these drivers. As Robert Hartley with the fastest lap, maybe even the fastest lap in Spec-5 World Tour history with a 38.641 there. He's pretty much outclassing the field, as Ronnie Coates still not able to close the gap down to him. It's just a consistent run between the top couple of cars, as Ronnie Coates even starting to maybe close it down a little bit. He didn't get a good corner there. As at this point in the race, you're just trying to maintain pace with the car in front of you. Not even if you're the car in second, just everybody just trying to maintain pace with the car in front of them.
I think you see, due to some incidents, they're already starting to close in on some lap traffic and starting to get some blue flags out there. Greg Mack and the 2 and Orlando Harrell and the 421 are going to be the first victims of that blue flag. And that's what's ultimately going to decide this race is traffic, because like you mentioned, there's not a lot of good passing opportunities here. So if somebody's going to be making a mistake, it's going to be trying to get around one of them blue flag cars, and you're going to have to be opportunistic to take a spot whenever it presents itself.
Yeah, for sure. As we're looking at the leaders now, and not even 6 minutes into this race, and Robert Hartley with another fastest lap, but not all positives at the moment, as he looks out in the front windshield and he will see lap traffic, and this might be the first Spec-5 World Tour race where I've had to utter those words, but for those of you road racing junkies who are used to this series and don't know what I mean by lap traffic, I mean the leaders are catching up to lap cars that might get in the way here. So, quick little short and sweet explanation for you, but we may see this play a role here, as you'll see Robert Hartley come offline, and he'll sacrifice his entry into turn 1 to get around Greg Mack, the slower car, and you'll see that it's not going to really affect Ronnie Coates as much because he didn't have to pass Greg Mack in that corner, so lap traffic can play a very big role in racing, and I wonder if it may play another one here tonight.
And this is just the opening skirmish with the blue flag cars. This is going to be going on for the rest of the night, especially if there are more incidents. They're just going to be closing down on cars. And when we get to the back half of this race, it's just going to be constant traffic. You're constantly going to be maneuvering around other cars, and it's going to come down to who can lose the least amount of time while dealing with those slower lap cars.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, really, just these drivers are going to have to manage so much this race, and a lot of it is just going to be luck of the draw. I know we keep talking about it, but luck of the draw is just so important at this small of a racetrack. You have to be so lucky with the lap traffic, with pit stops, if there are any, and you just have to make sure that you place your car in the best position at the best time if you can. And as we're looking at Jose Gonzalez early on in this race, he has done just that, currently leading the open class, not from pole actually, as Paulo Coimbra was on pole, but after an incident in the first couple of laps and Andrew Kosick falling back as well, Jose Gonzalez has taken over the lead. Tom Athan up to second as well. He's got Jerry DiPiero in third place right behind him, so I will say a bit of a closer battle up for the lead, but still there are a little bit of open class battles sprinkled out through the field.
And really, at this point, you're just trying to hold station and try to keep that car clean. Right now, we're at the fastest part of the race. There's very little in the way of traffic. Tires are up to temperature. You're able to really hang it out there and use the slip angle to your advantage. But pretty soon, that left front is going to start being angry with all those really quick right-hand corners. So we'll start to see the lap times drop off between tire wear and traffic, and things will start to get really interesting.
Yeah, definitely, especially with how much the left front wears and how much difficult all of the right-hand corners on this track are going to be, because as that left front tire wears out, you can see the left front on Robert Hartley's car, that car to the far outside going through these right-hand corners. That left front tire is put on so much more stress than every other tire on the car, so much that it can be down about halfway through its usage. Meanwhile, the other tires, are still only in the 80s in terms of percentage. So that left front tire goes through a lot of stress throughout this race, and we have to see how these drivers choose to manage that left front tire and keep it safe, so that way it'll work with them towards the end of the race if any opportunities arise.
So some of these cars that are getting a lap down are going to have a very interesting quandary at the end of the race. As they'll be turning less laps, they'll need less fuel. But if they decide to no pit, as we watch Mitchell Peak and Camden Hibbett here fight, going into turn 1, it looks like Camden going to get the inside run, gets that nose in there, maybe a little bit pushy, but that's how you have to pass here, and he gets the pass complete going into turn 3. But these lap down cars are going to have to turn fewer laps, but if they stay out and unlap themselves, they may be in fuel trouble. So it's a very, very delicate balance.
Yeah, and even then, being a lap car, you play a lot more of a role in this race than you do would think. And here's a bit of a move now. Cameron Hibbett making more moves in this race. He's going to get around Rui Coimbra and put himself into the top 5. And this is pretty much the only gaggle of cars that is close together in the pro class so far, or at the moment at least, as everybody else spread out pretty much evenly by over a second throughout the top 5. So pretty much 6th or 10th is the only, or 5th or 10th is the only group of cars that are decently close together. Everybody else has started to split up so far.
That was the 122 of Jerry DiPiero. They're going through turns 1 and 2, hanging it out there a little bit, really pushing it, trying to keep ahead of Ken Copeland. I think when we saw Rui Coimbra get past, he may have been doing a little bit of fuel saving. Camden closed that gap really quickly, so I think maybe we have a little bit of gamesmanship going on here in the top 10.
Or it could have been Camden who started to save his left front tire and he decided to use it there for a couple of laps. There's a lot of different strategies that can be used in this race, saving fuel, saving tires, saving pretty much the entire car at points if you just want to be blunt about it. And honestly, Randall, I'm just waiting for the point where we get to see a car fly across the racetrack and we end up seeing a car that was heading into turn 5, heading into turn number 1. That's what I'm waiting for.
It's surely going to happen at some point during this race, and who knows who it's going to take out or affect when it does happen. I will be absolutely shocked if it does not.
Yeah, it would be very. It would be pretty upsetting for the drivers involved, but personally, as an external viewer, I think it would be pretty entertaining. So we'll see what happens, and if that does happen, I'm hoping it doesn't, so that way it doesn't take any drivers out, but still, it's not out of the realm of possibility, especially for a track as weird as this. Here's Ray Lombardi currently fighting with Eric Schulhoff, I believe that is. Yep, that is Eric Schulhoff in the 46 car. Ray got loose there, and he's going to try and send it to the inside now into turn number 3. And it looks like getting loose was the best thing that could have happened to him because he's able to complete that move heading into turn number 5. And now Ray Lombardi puts himself in 23rd as Mitchell Peak just came into the pits. I'm not sure why he did that, but Mitchell Peak just came into the pits for one reason or another. He's now down there in 21st.
Interesting. He could be going off strategy, trying to get that fuel in early and then trying to make his way through the traffic and hope that others have to deal with worse traffic. It's a very tough call. Yeah, I'm not sure. I doubt that he had any sort of penalty, but he's already been back out there.
Yeah,
so I don't think it was a penalty.
So Adam told me to look at Greg's car, I believe, if that's what he said, and I do love it. I'm not gonna lie. I especially love the "Oh my God" on the side. It's like boom, pow. It's like reading a comic book as that car goes by. I do like that paint scheme. So Greg Mack, honestly, in terms of paint schemes for this race, especially for a custom one that you might only run here, I give you a round of applause for that one. I think that's my paint scheme of the race right there.
Yeah, especially like what he's got going on with the rear bumper there. Very artistic and creative. And
yeah, very creative.
Not too many people have gotten to see that rear bumper, but some of the leaders will be coming around to get a good look at it again. And honestly, I've been pretty surprised we haven't seen much of the booms and the bangs and the zooms and the oh my gods. It's been relatively clean, but now if you take a look at that track map, almost the entire track map is covered. We're getting to that point. It's going to happen just before the halfway point of the race where it's going to be all traffic all the time.
Yeah, and I bet that is the moment that Robert Hartley, with a comfortable 2.5 second gap to Ronnie Coates, I bet that's the moment that he is dreading when he starts to catch up to a world of lap traffic. And now we're looking at Paulo Coimbra. He was on the pole for this race, or for the open class at least, and he's fallen back 11 spots, so I'm not sure what's happened to the 65 car. I know he went off once early in the race in turn number 3, but that only should have set him back to maybe 17th or 16th, and now he's all the way back down in 22nd, so it hasn't been the best race from the pole position for the 65 team.
I see championship hopeful there in the open class. Jose Gonzalez leading the train of cars right now in front of Jordy Fike. Jordy maybe regretting picking this track now. Maybe he's thinking that he should have stayed with the Yokoyama short that we suggested, but now stuck behind that number 8 car of Jose Gonzalez as they make their way through the infield.
Yeah, and I don't know what to say about this track suggestion, and I really wish that I could have been here for it, because oh boy, well, I would have given y'all some ideas. And now granted, they wouldn't have been good ones. I probably would have suggested the Lankavanen road course, but they wouldn't have been good ideas, but they would have certainly been ideas, to say the least, and they would have been on the level of this one. Not to say that I'm upset with this idea. This is absolutely fantastic, and I'm glad that this underappreciated track is finally getting some love, because I'm not going to lie, As a driver, even with how close quarters it is, this track is honestly quite fun to drive, in my opinion.
This track is often used for junior drivers and motorcycle riders to get them trained on how to race and how to attack corners. It's almost like a step between a karting track and a real track. It feels like a karting track in these cars, but it's good for developing those racing fundamentals, and we're seeing a lot of it on display here tonight.
And no disrespect to the people that made that track, but before turn 1, I think I just saw something on the level of a 90s F1 chicane. That looks like it's about 2 feet wide, and I desperately want to try it in probably a Ford Mustang, like the ones you use in the American Muscle Series, Randall. We're going to see it when Rui Coimbra passes by. It looks like a 90s F1 chicane. Get ready for it. Here it comes, just up on the inside, and there it is. There it is. That looks like it's about 3 feet wide, and I think that would definitely be grounds for a great race there using that chicane. That would be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it looks very reminiscent of the chicane on the front straight of Imola. On the wrong side of the track, of course, but you're right. Very, very reminiscent of the 90s F1 chicanes they started throwing into tracks randomly, and it could definitely have thrown a wrench in this race.
But however, we are pretty much just about on the same level of entertained here, I would say. Is now we get a good look at that rear bumper. That person's really excited on the rear bumper in that virtual reality headset right there. The wow! It's the wow! It's the wow that gets me on that one.
The kid is very excited to see the car approaching from behind and really just wants to reach out and touch the front bumper of one of these Mazdas. And unfortunately, it's not as close as it appears in that VR headset. Right now, Greg Mack in a bit of a bubble. He's not free of any threat, but he's got a nice cushion around him.
Yeah, definitely. And either that person is very excited to see a car approaching in the rearview mirror, or absolutely terrified. We might see here, depending on how Greg Mack reacts to another lead lap car in Sean Ruiz catching up to him now. Tom Athan, as well as Jerry DiPiero and Ken Copeland close by as well. Following Sean Ruiz, they head down into turn number 1 once more, and it looks like Robert Hartley is about a half a lap away, or at least from my best guess, a half a lap away from encountering pretty much the main field of lapped traffic. So we'll see what happens when Robert Hartley gets there, but no doubt it is going to be very interesting to see how he manages that lap traffic. And this is honestly, we laughed at this camera angle at first, but I honestly think it's a really great camera angle to use. It gives you a lot of perspective. Adam's laughing in the production booth, but I'm being serious. This is a great camera angle to use to get some perspective on exactly where one car is in comparison to the others. You can see as Robert Hartley heads into turn 8, Sean Hayes, that last car in that lead pack, just heading through turn number 1. And as Robert Hartley crosses the start-finish line, Sean Hayes there heading into turn number 3. So honestly, it's a great camera angle, but Ronnie Coates into the pits. So some of these drivers, Rui Coimbra is in the pits as well. So I want to see what they're doing. Oh, Rui Coimbra misses pit stall as well. There, Otis Adams Jr. in the pits. I want to see what they're doing in the pits, whether they're taking fuel or maybe even just tires.
And it looks like a lot of the not-a-team drivers are coming in at the same time, so you have to think they had this planned. We saw a lap before, we saw Eugenio Pulici coming out of the pits, so some of these drivers up front are electing to go now into the pits, get that fuel, maybe change that left front or both left side tires, kind of splitting this race in half and then getting back out there. It looks like Brian Sabelski had a little bit of coordination issues there with the jack man. They let the truck down, or let the car down before they finished changing the tires. They had to go back up onto the jack and get those tires changed. He's going to lose a whole lot of time.
Yeah, and it looks like in terms of pitting in relation to Mitchell Peak, who was the first car on lead pace to head into the pits, Ronnie Coates is in front of Mitchell Peak. So in terms of the cars that pitted, Ronnie Coates leads that group at the moment.
Hey guys, Adam Thompson down here in the production booth. I had to break my door down to get in. My door. I said my door, and you guys still locked it on me. But Randall, in the YouTube chat, James Baker's asking if AMS is going to be at this track next season.
Let me think about that for
do it.
just a minute. I'm gonna go with a solid no.
No, do it. It'd be funny. Do Tsukuba 1000 outer. It's like Martinsville if it was lopsided and backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that would go over very well with my crew. Because we have a huge gaggle of cars here. We have drivers that have come into the pits, and this is just an absolute mess. This is more of what we were expecting to see. We have drivers that have overused their left front tires now, that coming into contact with drivers that have better tires. Jerry DiPiero almost touches the rear end of the 421 there. He's going to fall under attack from Ken Copeland. We see a car there diving into the pit lane. Tom Athan's going to decide that discretion is the better part of valor and get out of the way as Ronnie Coates starts to make his way through this gaggle.
Randall, another one in the YouTube chat from Jason Bossy said, not even sure Nam would show up for that one.
I'm not sure I would show up for that, to be honest with you.
I mean, it would be pretty entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. As an external viewer, I would be entertained.
Oh, Tom Athan is there struggling with them cold tires. He changed those left side tires. We saw that as he was in the pit stall, and he got bit by those cold tires. He's going to lose a whole lot of time here as David Staub has to avoid him and take a very, very tight entry into turn 3.
Yeah, that was pretty close as Jerry, who looks like took the lead there as everybody else might headed into the pits. Oh no, he got turned. He got turned by Sean Ruiz there in turn number 3, or at a turn number 3 it looked like. I'm not sure what happened to Sean Ruiz. Well, look at what happened to him here. He's heading through turns 1 and 2. Adam had a bit of a heart attack when that happened, but towards turn 3 and onto the brakes. Oh, it looks like Sean clips the grass understeers, hits the brakes, and then, he wheel spins, comes back onto the track, and hits Jerry in the rear end. That is going to hurt his race a lot.
And Jerry took a pretty heavy lick there. Hopefully he doesn't have any suspension damage on that left rear wheel. If he does, it's going to be a real nightmare in the right-hand corners. And this track is mostly right-hand corners.
Yeah, so, and Adam's showing his displeasure there. So Sean, you might have just made a new enemy there. I'm not gonna lie to you. Adam might be coming to. Adam might try and find where you live. So personally, I would put in a home defense system just to be safe. But just this pit lane is just so confusing to me because you'll see that there's only 11 spots. We have 30 cars in this field, so you're going to see 2 cars using the same pit lane at some points. That's what we're seeing right now. Ken Copeland and Andrew Gilliland getting a little close there as Ken Copeland has to go through his car to change his left side tires.
We saw Andrew Gilliland having a long stop there. He actually was came in front of Ken Copeland, so I don't know if he's repairing some damage or had some sort of issue there with his pit strategy, but he's finally out of the pits. Now we're on board with David Staub there, taking those left side tires as well, waiting for fuel maybe, as we see here him revving the engine and pulling out of his stall. And here comes Robert Hartley, going to put him a lap down, most likely going into turn 1. He's going to be carrying a head of steam down the front straightaway, covers him off. Right now, there are only 3 cars on the lead lap: Robert Hartley, Zach Burke, and Mike Dam. That's actually a bit of an error with the timing screen. As they're coming across the line, we're seeing a few more of them actually on the lead lap. But yes, the longer Hartley stays out there, the more cars we're going to have a lap down while this pit cycle works itself out.
Yeah, so honestly, I mean, a strategy that could come into play here is if Robert Hartley says that, hey, I've been saving some fuel up here with no real competition from the cars behind me. What if I just save a lap's worth of fuel? Then I don't got to pit at all. So that could be the strategy that's running through Robert Hartley's mind. Charles Vaccaro, though, off track there. You see him backwards. I believe that's in turns 1 and 2. It looks like he brings it back out on track in an orderly fashion, not getting in anybody's way for the most part, but still... this is what happened to him. It looked like he just sends it in there a little deep, gets loose, ends up getting sideways. Sean Ruiz almost hits him, and he immediately floors it off track to get out of the way. Very smart heads-up driving from Charles Vaccaro to make sure that nobody else was involved in that.
Right now, everything looks like it's coming up Hartley. As the pit cycles works its way through, he just keeps getting these gaps in front of him where he's able to click off fast laps. So I suspect that he's going to drive it as long as he can. He may even be saving fuel and can go all the whole distance without having to come in. So right now, the strategy is falling Hartley's way.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how they're able to manage all that. Is Robert Hartley on his own lap at this point. So Ronnie Coates far behind. I'm not sure. I think the top three as a whole haven't pitted. So Ronnie Coates is the first car out there on fresh tires. So here's something that happened to Andrew Gilliland heading into turn number 3. We'll see if this affected him all that much. It looks like he's heading out of turn 3 there through 4 and into 5 now. And looks like same thing that happened to Charles Vaccaro. Sends it in there a little deep, gets loose. He's able to bring it back on track. Andrew Kosick goes off track trying to avoid him there, and he'll lose that spot to Brian Zabelski. Paulo Coimbra had an incident as well.
We see him going through turn 1 there on the curb. Looks fine here through turn 2. Good. I'm going to expect that maybe this happened in turn 3 as he's all the way out there. Gets a little bit onto the grass. Seems to be fine. Runs a little bit wide there. And so far, so good there alongside the 421. And maybe just registered as going a little too slow and not actually a crash. No, we see a little contact there with Camden Hibbett on the rear bumper as they come through turn 7 into turn 8. So far, so good. And I'm just waiting for something to happen here. He runs wide here on the exit of turn 10, gets onto the grass, comes back in front of Camden Hibbett. So far, clean. A little scrappy, but that's kind of what we expect to see here. And we got Ronnie Coates making a pass on Jordy Fike for P number 4 as they're coming down the front straightaway. He's going to show his nose, get out there early. It looks like Jordy doesn't fight him very hard for it. Backs out a little bit early, knows that Ronnie's faster, and decides to follow him.
Yeah, so a pretty good move there. Is Ronnie going to continue his advance through the field? And honestly, at this point, Simon Foweather catching up to Jordy Fike now. We could have a little bit of a race here. We'll see if Simon tries anything into turn 3. Yes, he will. Try to the inside of Jordy Fike, and he will easily get that move done down to the inside. Very clean and quick move for Simon Foweather on some fresh tires, if I'm not mistaken. And that shows the power of fresh tires. Simon Foweather already starting to pull away from Jordy Fike. And on lap 45 of this race, what do you think about Robert Hartley? I mean, is he already committed to trying to go to the distance?
I would think so. With the bubbles that he's been getting and the gaps he's had, he would have been able to save fuel pretty easily. And the speed he's been carrying, he's probably looking pretty good on fuel mileage. I wouldn't be shocked if he tries to go the distance, as we now have Sean Hayes with that number 94 car in the pit lane. Didn't see if he went up on the jacks, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Being able to see what some of these other drivers have done and seeing their lap times improve, you almost have to take tires at this point.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know though, because if he stayed out for this long and he comes into the pits, he might just end up losing more time, and he'll probably just end up losing the lead. So at this point, I just think, hey, you're a lap ahead of the field. Just stay committed to where you are. Stay committed. Is Ken Copeland getting passed by Eugenio Polici there? Or he was attempting to pass Eugenio Polici. It was the other way around. Apologies. But at this point, if you're Robert Hartley, or if I'm Robert Hartley at least, I'm just saying to hell with it. I'm a lap ahead of the field. I'm just going to try and stick it out to the end of the race. And that could be the thought that's running through the number 3 team's head right now.
Right now, it's very hard to tell from the timing tower, but it looks like there are about 11 or 12 cars actually on this lead lap currently. But looking at the timing screen and the number of laps completed, right now it looks like somebody's coming into the pit lane. No,
I apologize, guys. I said I was coming back into the commentary booth again. We've got Lucky Juice Box, which I can only assume is Gigi DiPiero, rooting on her dad there. The number 122 said, "I'm cheering on the number 122."
Well, let's go, Jerry. Let's get some stuff done for your daughter here. You had that unfortunate encounter with Shonda Ruiz, and see if you can get back into it here. Running 14th, though. if having an incident puts you in 14th place, it's a pretty good run so far. So still some ground he can make up.
Yeah, so we'll see if he can make that ground up as Jerry DiPiero. Not too far away from Jose Gonzalez. He be able to close down this gap, especially if he is on fresher tires than that number 8 car. So we'll see if that gap starts to close down. However, Eugenio Polici currently finds himself in the midst of an assault from Ken Copeland trying to take away the 16th spot. They have Ray Lombardi just up in front of them. Eugenio Polici's been trying to work his way around him, but now he's under fire from the 15 car.
Eugenio Polici was very, very quick in practice, so it's kind of, I don't know if he messed up his qualifying. As we see, the number is that Paulo Coimbra there up there. We have a lot of things coming up on the timing screen. We're watching Andrew Gilliland come through turns 1 and 2. Simon Foweather getting the elbow out there with the 46 in the background.
Adam
so far, so
had
good.
A stroke. So sure.
We're going to jump to Simon Foweather. Yeah, Adam's got his hands full in the production booth trying to juggle these. We saw this move here. It's like got his elbows out there with a 46. I think that's Eric Schuloff, and gets around it. Oh, and a bit of a tag there. Gotta wonder if that's some retribution or just bad timing, but doesn't really hurt him too bad. We jump to Jordy Fike coming through turn 1.
Yeah, so not sure what happened to Jordy Fike. He was a little bit further behind that fight, and it looks Adam is thinking that all these drivers got instant points for this. They're slow going through 3, but no real incidents or contact there going out for a lot of these cars. Paulo Coimbra again here in turn number 5, I believe that is, through 5 and 6 now. He's got the 421 car of Orlando Harrell, if I'm not mistaken. He tried to look to the inside there, thought better of it heading into 7. There it is. Paulo Coimbra gets turned around by Orlando Harrell. The field has to scramble around, but so far Paulo's just way off track out of the way. Sean Ruiz into turn number 3. Now he'll get the car turned towards the exit. He's alongside Mitchell Peak, and it still looks like he's sent it into the corner a little bit too hard. He's able to save it, and that is something that we've just seen all too often throughout this race. Drivers sending it too hard into corners and not being able to hold on to it.
It's getting to that point in the race, and as we're talking about that point in the race, we're going to jump back to Greg Mack, currently running last on the track. He is our back marker salute for the night with the best paint job that we've seen all night. Greg Mack right now running in last place. It's not giving up, still got his foot into the throttle, still sending it into these corners. Sir, we salute you. And that number 2 car, we're going to jump up to Charles Vaccaro. We've seen him off track a few times. He's still out there gunning it, trying to get some more spots back, trying to fight for some spots as he's off into the grass again on the infield straightaway, really having his hands full with that. Eric Schuloff, newcomer to the league, often seen in officials in the production car challenge and the the MX5 races in the official sessions. Right now, struggling with it. We saw them with a bit of an incident earlier, but these 3 gentlemen are our back marker salute for the night. Thank you guys so much for coming out and racing and sticking it out there, even though you're not having the greatest night.
Yeah, so for all the back markers out there, we salute you tonight from Tsukuba's Andrew Kosick.
Sean Hayes.
Sean Hayes just went off track there. That was out of turn 5 heading towards 7, if I'm not mistaken. Eugenio way offline there through the final corner. He gets back on the gas. Sean Hayes did the same thing pretty much, except he didn't slow down all the way. His Andrew Kosick there almost had a little bit of an incident as we're looking at time.
I suspect that sorry there, Alex. We see Eugenio Polici pulled off to the side completely at his stop. I think that maybe I was going to say maybe that he and Sean Hayes had come together and he was waiting for Sean to get past, but I'm not exactly sure what's going on there at all.
Yeah, I'm not know what happened at all. I think he's just letting all the lead lap cars by, as he'll do the same thing in turn number 1. He has the lead lap cars of Otis Adams Jr. and Sean Hayes behind him. He stops on the entry to turn 1. I think he's just looking for clean track at this point as he lets everybody go by. And now he'll be just pretty much in his own realm of driving as he's going to let Paulo Coimbra by, or excuse me, that's Jose Gonzalez by as well, the open class leader. So Eugenio might just be just looking to give everybody a lot more room than they need. Orlando Harrell has an incident into turn number 3 as he gets through turn 3 fine, gets through 4 fine. I reckon entry to 5. Yes, it was. He gets sideways. Let's see, is he able to save it? No, he's not. He's going to go all the way around, and he's going to have to get that car pointed back in the right direction, losing a bunch of time in the process there. Turn 5 seems to be the main issue point for a lot of drivers. Mike Dam just took the race lead there. These are the drivers that came in to pit for tires. Robert Hartley now at this point, I bet realizing that he should have pit when everybody else did for those tires as it's starting to bite him now.
Yeah, this is really amazing stuff. Mike Dam's been able to work his way up through traffic. Robert Hartley is not done yet, though. He sends it up the inside for turn 1. Is going to take that lead back. Here comes Ronnie Coates up the inside. It's going to be who can break latest in turn 3. Ronnie Coates going to have the preferred line, gets the move done. Mike Dam gets just a taste of the glory of the lead and now is back to 3rd place. But look out for all of this lap traffic. Ken Copeland and Ray Lombardi battling for position. They're not going to be eager to get out of the way as they're fighting with each other.
Yeah, and so far looks like they're all able to just deal with Ray Lombardi in an orderly manner as Robert Hartley takes the lead back. Mike Dam back to 3rd now, as now Robert Hartley going to get to the inside of Ray Lombardi, trying to get around the lap car as Mike Dam fell back a little bit. Sean Hayes now catching back up to this group of cars as they start to make their way through the bulk of lap traffic now.
Hey guys,
as Ronnie Coates with a lot of pace.
Adam Thompson back up here in the broadcast or the commentary booth again. All the viewers that are watching this right now, all of the people commentating or commenting in the YouTube chat, thank you for doing so. I know it's probably nauseating for you guys. I just want to apologize if we are missing some on-track battles. This is why. This is just an absolutely intense race, and I'm doing the best that I can down here.
And for that, Adam, we applaud you, especially with the track this small. I bet it's just a massive scramble in the production booth to have to deal with all of that. As the field of lead cars starts to head through 5 and 6, you gotta wonder, is Robert Hartley under real threat right now? So the last pit lap... Oh, sorry, Randall?
We're showing the last pit lap on screen now. Right now, it's showing that Hartley pit on lap 49 and Mike Dam hasn't pit. So that would be why that Mike Dam was in the lead. And that's why Robert Hartley was able to get that position back so quickly. So we were wrong a little bit there. Robert Hartley did pit. Mike Dam is trying to be the one to stretch it out. And right now, it's just not going in his favor as he's down to 4th. And he's got a bit of a distance over Roy Coimbra, but there's still 5.5 minutes left. That could disappear.
Yeah, and Robert Hartley might be under some real threat from cars behind him that already pitted, and you're seeing the laps the cars did come into the pit. So it looks like Robert Hartley did pit at one point. It just looks like, I think he stayed the leader there, and he was just in his own little world. But Mike Dam has not come into the pits at all throughout this race, and he's currently sticking it out in 4th, showing that yes, you can pull that off, as I think at the end of this lap they might take the 5 to go signal.
It's going to be very close for him on fuel. He's going to have to be saving. You have to wonder if maybe there was some traffic that played a role in that. I'm not sure how many laps he would have been in the lead. We missed it in all the melee that was going on and trying to get the back markers on the camera for a few minutes. We just completely missed Hartley coming into the pits. This track is crazy. There's so much going on everywhere on track.
Yeah, as everybody just, at this point in the race, everybody's just going to be scrambling for position now as these drivers just realize that they're in the final moments of this race and they have their final moments to make some moves. And I never thought we would have gotten an on-track battle for the win at a track like this. Eugenio Polici looks like he was brought up to us as a crash, but once again just going slow around the straight. But Adam is giving us reports of a massive crash involving Greg Mack, Andrew Gilliland, and Sean Hayes. This is into turn number 1. Eugenio Polici wasn't a part of this, even though he was stopped on the entry to turn number 1. This is into 3. Onto the brakes they go. Looks normal at the moment. Greg Mack misses the corner a little bit. Andrew Gilliland makes up for the exit to give him room. Greg Mack ends up giving Andrew Gilliland a lot of room there. And then Sean Hayes tries to get around him as well. Greg Mack is going to let him by as well. So this was registered as a crash, as Eugenio Polici might have been having more issues.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the viewers a little bit of inside baseball here with some of the timing software that we use. If a driver gets below a certain threshold of speed, it registers as a crash. So sometimes when we see some of these moves where they run too wide in a corner or just get too backed up, it'll register as a crash. So we think that there's something that's happened, and we go back and look at it, and it's really just somebody getting a corner wrong. And right now, Ronnie Coates all over the back end of Robert Hartley. This could be the race for the win here. Coming down to the closing stages, I'm shocked that it's this close with all the traffic and the pit cycle that we've dealt with. This is amazing.
It looks like it is all going to come down to the final couple laps as Charles Vaccaro off track there, and he's backwards now. Looks like he'll be able to get that car turned around. He'll back it up off track just like he did in turn 2. So it looks like I don't think we need a replay of that one. It looks like he just got loose off of turn 3. He ends up saving that car, not really saving that car, but just getting it out of harm's way and bringing it back onto the track in an orderly manner. And in turn 7, if you look, you see the bright yellow and blue car of Robert Hartley currently being chased down by the red and black car of Ronnie Coates. These two, never thought I would have said this at a track like this, but these two are going to give us a fight for the win tonight from this circuit. Is in the final 2 minutes now. I believe that'll be about 3 laps to go. They're already in turn 3, and at a track that's as hard to pass as this one, what does Ronnie Coates do here to try and take the lead?
You got to think he's going to use the chrome horn going into turn 1 or turn 3. It's about the only option that he has. He's going to have to really just send one in there and make 8 wheels turn better than 4 at some point. Ronnie Coates not normally that kind of driver, so he might just be hoping that Robert Hartley here catches Eugenio Polici ahead and maybe has a bit of an issue getting around him and can make an opportunistic move. But with as tough as it is to pass here, you almost have to use that bumper.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep our eyes on this last lap battle. I don't even know if they'll catch up to Eugenio Polici in time. That's how fast these laps are, but we'll see if they take the white flag this time by on lap 67 of this race. We'll see what happens now as they head through turns 7 and 8. I think they will have 2 more laps. Lap time is about 40 seconds, and it looks like the flagman will give them 1 more lap to run. So it'll be 2 to go at the line. Now just under that is Ronnie Coates. Doesn't have much longer to try and make this move.
He's waiting patiently now, trying to see where he's faster, and the only place that he really seems to close the bumper ahead is in those heavy braking zones. So he's just going to really have to send one if he wants a chance here. He may just be happy with second place. You don't really want to see that. You want the guys fighting for the lead, but the way the points here work here, he might just be satisfied with second place.
Yeah, and it looks like it'll be white flag at the line, so 1 more chance for Ronnie Coates to try and take the win away from Robert Hartley. Now will go on board through 1 and 2. I think his best opportunity is going to be turn number 3. I don't think he's close enough on this lap to try something through there. Onto the brakes they go into 3 for the final time. Ronnie Coates not able to get something done. He's going to need to have something big into turns 7 or 8 if he wants a shot at this win. So far though, it's looking like it might end up going the way of Robert Hartley through turns 7, 8, and 9 for the last time tonight. It looks like Ronnie Coates is not going to get there. Robert Hartley, after 70 long laps at Tsukuba, is going to win from the land of the rising sun. Mike Dam going to head to the final corner to finish 4th, and I will say, and we will have a replay here of a battle between Mike Dam and Rui Coimbra. It looks like Rui got off track there, and that gave Mike Dam the opportunity to get to the outside now through the final couple of corners, and I think this battle ended up going through the white flag now. as this is on the last lap of the race.
We see them coming into turn 1. Mike Dam really putting his nose in there, really giving just enough space, and then they make just a little bit of contact coming toward the apex of turn 2, sends Rui Coimbra out into that retaining barrier, and it's going to have to come back on track. Ends up losing that spot to Mike Dam. Mike Dam finishes in 4th with no pit stop.
And here are your results tonight. Is the best part about this track. You don't have to wait for a whole bunch of cars to cross the finish line. Only 12 cars finished on the lead lap, and Robert Hartley took the win by less than half a second over Ronnie Coates. Simon Foweather is there in 3rd, Mike Dam in 4th, Camden Hibbett in 5th, Zach Burke in 6th, Otis Adams Jr. in 7th, Rui Coimbra in 8th, Mitchell Peak in 9th, David Staub in 10th, Jose Gonzalez in 11th, Jordy Fike in 12th, Ken Copeland in 13th. Or excuse me, I didn't even acknowledge our open class winner, Jose Gonzalez, by about a lap over the field, wins the open class. That's going to be great for him. And the points is Ken Copeland, I think, will take the points lead with that finish there. He's only 1 point behind Andrew Kosick, tied with Andrew Gilliland for 2nd. So I think he might take the open class points lead with that is Tom Athan in 14th, Brian Zabelski in 15th, Andrew Kosick in 16th, Lee Martin in 17th, Sean Hayes in 18th. Behind them, Ray Lombardi in 19th, Jerry DiPiero in 20th, Sean Ruiz in 21st, Paulo Coimbra in 22nd, Orlando Harrell in 23rd, John Casey in 24th, Andrew Gilliland in 25th, Eric Schulhoff in 26th, Charles Vaccaro in 27th, Greg Mack in 28th, Eugenio Polici in 29th, and it looks like David Tamira quit after those opening couple of laps. He'll finish 30th. Adam showing another bit of support for Jerry DiPiero there. And Randall, I think we have a back marker salute to go through.
It says we're hearing from the production trailer that he's trying to show David Tamira on screen now. We saw him get into some trouble early, and then he just retired the car. Figured maybe this wasn't the best time to make a debut after all, but got out there and raced anyway. So thank you for coming out, David, and hopefully we see you next week in a much better finishing position.
Yeah, definitely. We'll hope to see you next week. That was David Tamira's first race in a while, but Randall, I believe you are on standby with our open class winner tonight, and that would be Jose Gonzalez.
Jose Gonzalez, you survived the melee and brought home the open class victory with a P11 overall. It's a good haul of points, and I know you're really, really eager to get deeper into that championship fight. Tell us about your race, buddy.
Oh man, I was just trying to focus. This track was not one of my favorites, and I thought actually Cam was going to take it. Man, he's been super fast whole season, and I talked to him before, and I was just like, "Oh, good luck tonight, man." He's just trying to survive tonight. Yeah, that's what it was. It's just survival.
So the race was 45 minutes long. How long did it feel behind the wheel of that car?
Oh man, it felt forever. Just track's so small. We were talking with the guys. It actually seems like a Mario Kart track. And it was just so small. It was just we have to keep focused because any little thing, man, you were going off track. As you could see, some of the guys. Focus was a very important thing in this, and it was very boring, to be honest with you.
Very boring. That's not at all what we expected to hear, that you were bored. Well, good job avoiding the banana peels out there on the Mario Kart track. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean, the guys from another team, we were practicing a lot, and thanks to them, the guys from Sim Coaches, they gave me these great pedals, hooked us up with the pedals, and you guys, man, put a broadcast and Spec-5 guys and everything. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Jose, quick question for you before we let you go, man. I know I jumped into your chat before the race, and I'm got to say I'm a little disappointed in you, Jose, for not trying to make the jump at the end.
Oh, no, you asked, I wasn't here, man. I had to
I
had to go let my dog out.
No worries, man. No worries. Great race.
All right, thank you.
Well, congratulations, Jose. I think this is your first open class win, or at least the first one I've seen. So congratulations, and hopefully we have you up here again in the booth sometime soon.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
And that was your open class winner, Jose Gonzalez. And Alex, I think you have our overall race winner, Robert Hartley.
I sure do. And Robert Hartley, you were in the lead for a majority of that race, if I am not mistaken. Ended up getting some competition late from Ronnie Coates, Simon Foether, and a couple of other drivers. What was that like throughout the course of that race?
Oh yeah, Ronnie was really fast there at the end. He was all over me. Just nowhere to pass at this track, and that's what got me the win. But yeah, at the beginning it was just hammer down and try to pull away from everybody. But I think Ronnie was probably trying to save some tire and some fuel. I'm pretty sure he does that a lot. And Mike was trying to save enough fuel to go the whole distance, which I think he did. So everybody was on different strategies, but it was a great race.
Yeah, it definitely is. Robert, that's probably the fastest laps that we've ever seen on a track in the Spec-5 World Tour, history. And pretty much just a lot of first. Probably shortest track, probably most amount of laps ever completed. And overall, you end up with the win on such a close quarters track. Just how was it just managing your car out there, trying to worry about where the other cars are on track and having to worry about that left front tire? How did you balance all that from behind the wheel?
Well, I've ran this track a lot in week 13 races, so I was pretty familiar with the track. But yeah, it was just hammered down at the beginning, and watch out for the traffic. It's always, with this course being so short, the traffic was just crazy.
Yeah, that's what it looked like from up here in the booth. And speaking of that left front tire, it seemed to be the Achilles heel for a lot of drivers that tried to go the full distance without pitting. How was it for you out there on a worn left front tire?
Yeah, my tires were about shot there at the end. Ronnie, I think, probably had the best tires. If there was somewhere to make a move, he could have easily passed me, but there's just nowhere to pass at this track.
Sorry. Hey, Ken, Adam Thompson here. Robert, sorry. Adam Thompson here in the broadcast booth once again. So we were looking at the pit laps, and Ronnie Coates came in about 19 laps before you did. Did you expect him to have the amount of tire that he had at the end of the race to try to battle you?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's changing tires right now with the tire model, but with it only being 45 minutes, so I think everybody was pretty much had the same tire, where I was just burning them up in the beginning, and Ronnie was probably saving a little bit. He definitely had the better tires at the end.
Well, let me tell you something a little bit. If you go back and watch the broadcast, Robert, I can tell you that Ronnie Coates did take left sides, and that you just answered my question. That's probably why he was there at the end, but you still had the win. And I will give you back over to Alex now. I apologize for stealing your thunder, Alex and Robert.
Nice. I didn't know he took 2 tires, so he made it work.
Yeah, so overall, great race for you, Robert. Before we let you go, anybody you want to thank or give a shout out to?
I'd just like to thank y'all for putting on the broadcast, and thank my teammates that run with me every week, and we work together, and we have a lot of fun racing. And just thank everybody that makes this league go around. Jordy Fike, I know, does a lot for it, and appreciate y'all.
All right, well, we appreciate that, and I'm sure Jordy Fike and all your teammates will appreciate that as well. Congrats on the win tonight. Hopefully, we will see you back up in the booth next week from, if I am not mistaken, should be the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. How you feeling about that?
Much better course.
All right, well.
It'd be like a breath of fresh air compared to this track.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see you back up here from there, and have a good night, my friend.
Thanks, guys.
And that was Robert Hartley, your overall winner here tonight from the Tsukuba circuit. And Randall, that was a race that definitely happened. What's your take on it?
I can't believe that Jose Gonzalez said that he was bored most of the race. I'm stressed out, and I didn't even have to drive.
I was confused by that too. Personally, from up in the booth, that was very entertaining.
Well, it takes all different kinds to race in a league like this, and Jose is a unique one. If he was bored tonight, I hate to see what his social life is like, because he must be pretty crazy. But yeah, just survival and caring for tires. And we saw pit strategies all over the place tonight. So it was a really really wild and exciting race, and I'm kind of glad that they decided to go with this layout. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, just like we mentioned at the start of the show, there were a lot of unknowns. And I reckon if we go here again, all those unknowns will, without a doubt, be figured out heading into the race. We might see a little bit of more racing action next time we come to this track, if there even is a next time. But before we round off the show, we have some upcoming broadcasts for you tonight. This Sunday, February 26th at 8:10 p.m. EST, you'll see the Cross Series League Racing Championship return after an off week for their first dirt road race of the season with the Pro 2 light trucks at the Phoenix Rally Cross Circuit. Going to be an interesting one there. Then on Tuesday, February 28th at 8:45 p.m. EST, you'll see the GTP, that being the BMW Hybrid V8 new LMDH car that races in IMSA, the LMP2 class, and the GT3 class racing around the Hungaroring for the WSRL series. And then Tuesday, February 28th, 9:10 p.m. EST, at about the same time as WSRL, the American Muscle Series returns from Lime Rock with the Ford Mustang FR 500s. So going to be a very interesting race from there. The American Muscle Series always puts on a great show. And then 1 week from now, the Spec-5 World Tour returns once again on Tuesday, March 2nd at 9:15 p.m. EST with these Mazda MX-5 Cup cars from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That's going to be a very interesting race. I think we've been there before, and if I recall correctly, it was a great show to watch. But for now, my name is Alex Andersen. I have been joined in the commentary booth by Randall, McGrew with Adam Thompson in our virtual production truck, and from Tsukuba Circuit for Race 7 of Season 12 of the Spec-5 World Tour. Have a good night.
Not. So Patrick, do we describe this for everybody, Rob?
What?
You describe it. You describe it. I
What?
do enough talking.
I think any car's dead in iRacing. I think it's gone.
Oh, it's definitely. I agree. It's not going to survive much, but I still think we'll find opportunities to race it, just not as fruitful as before. Some of them just want to make. What's the thing? Like that guy wanted to make like dolls out of Tyler's hair, but then there's just other guys who are just like. He did. He would say weird things to Tyler, man. Like he was a strange guy. And then like other guys would just show up and he's like, "Oh, we never met you? Sure, come race this 24 with us." And then just jump in the car and wreck us out in a lap and be like, "Okay, never see you again."
Yeah, that
Like,
was
okay. Well, better luck next year, I guess.
that was the guy from